Not only has the existence of UFOs had an influence in the cultural arena around the world, but there has been and continues to be technological advancements of the human race since the first reported UFO retrieval operation. Cultural impact can be as simple as having an effect on art and imagination, or it can go far deeper. What we mean is the course of history itself could have been influenced by the interaction and experiences humans had with extraterrestrials in their vehicles. Ancient cultures referred to these extraterrestrials as gods, and their craft described as chariots or burning wheels, which seems to be logical for that time in human history. The biblical era may have been influenced as well, contrary to the many who wish it and demand it not to be so, whether it was God or beings under his control piloting highly technical vehicles. Experiences far too similar to those of modern-day experiences occurred during the biblical era and was recorded by the prophet Ezekiel, along with a few others. The three most well-known stories in the Bible that suggest UFO-like encounters are the stories of the Exodus, Ezekiel, and Enoch. But there are others. Many researchers, such as Morris K. Jessup, have discussed the Pillar of the Lord, seen leading the Hebrews out of Egypt, and pointed out its UFO-like properties. Others have discussed Jacob's heavenly ladder as a possible sighting. Yet others are convinced that the four living beings, who moved like wheels and burned like bronze seen by Ezekiel, were UFOs. The eagle, lion, ox, man symbolism of these beings is found in other depictions of the so-called cherubim in the Middle East, and reappears in the conjunction with the four evangelists. There are other biblical-era authors whose writings never made it into the Bible, who made claims to having experiences similar to those in the stories in the Bible, but with far more detail. The story of Enoch is perhaps the most curious, for he claims, like Elijah, to have been taken up into the heavens and shown the earth from above, which he describes as a sphere. His book in the Bible is apocalyptic. Some people think that the Star of Bethlehem and the cloud which descended upon Jesus at Mount Tabor may have been UFOs as well, and some daring authors declare his parentage may have been extraterrestrial. Of course, this type of understanding may undermine what the elders who created the Septuagint and Masoretic text had in mind, so therefore was excluded and not allowed in the original assembly of the Bible. Understandably so, if the original assemblers of the Bible had a particular message to convey. Nevertheless, many would conclude, as we agree, is it really such a bad idea to believe in a supreme being that loves his children and has instilled that quality in the human race? Von Daniken and some others reach even further for evidence of ETs in the good book. They attempt to explain the Ark of the Covenant as an electrical condenser and manna machine, the destruction of Sodom and Gomorrah as an atomic explosion, the legends of the sons of God descending on the daughters of men as an early interbreeding program, and the burning bush as a landed saucer. They also attempt to explain the heavenly chariot or Merkabah that Elijah saw, and which plays such an important role in Kabbalistic mysticism as a UFO. Melchizedek is said to be a space being, and various visits of angels are interpreted as meetings with space travelers. Numerous channeled texts, like Osipha, make a similar attempt to explain incidents in the Bible through an extraterrestrial lens. In many cases, these explanations are definitely only for the highly credulous and overly literal scholars that inhabit ufology. The technical impact of UFOs on Earth started shortly after the first few of them crashed and were retrieved for study. The The first crash retrieval allegedly occurred in Aurora, Texas in 1897. And this was the year of the great airship reports in the United States. As the story goes, it was on April 19, 1897, that a slow-moving spaceship crashed into a windmill, bursting into pieces. As the debris was searched through, supposedly the body of a small alien was discovered. Originally, the alien pilot was dubbed the Martian pilot. Some of the debris also revealed material sketched with the type of hieroglyphics. The town folk gave the alien a proper burial in a local cemetery. This incident, whether true or not, has had just enough publicity to stay afloat for over 100 years. It was made into a movie, The Aurora Encounter, in 1986, starring Jack Elam. The news of the crash spread quickly, even for that time period. A newspaper article or event still exists, written by S.E. Hayden, reporter for the Dallas Morning News. As the years progressed, a few more UFOs crashed and were recovered. One in the late 30s and two in the early 40s. But it wasn't until the Roswell incident in July of 1947 when two UFOs, suspected of either colliding with one another or had shot each other down, according to many credible sources such as Naval Intelligence Officer, physicist, and author of The Second Ship, Richard Phillips. This initiated a program or protocol for UFO crash recovery by the U.S. government and perhaps by other government entities as well. In any case, it was no longer an issue that could be ignored, but something of a possible threat that needed to be looked into at a deeper level. The governments now had proof that UFOs and their occupants were visiting Earth. According to Richard Phillips, who worked on extraterrestrial craft in Los Alamos, the UFOs were loaded with technical advancements to be studied.